What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the Fantasy Tap, aka the best bookie beater in the world. Now, thanks to Brad, our special host for these props and picks shows. Super excited to have you on, Brad. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, I'd not rather be anywhere else but here tonight, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then, of course, we have John. John is, he's what keeps the bookies around.
Hey, guys. I'm here to keep everyone happy. Level the playing field out a little bit.
Oh, man.
Hey, for every winner, there's got to be at least like 10 or 11 losers. So
exactly.
And I make up for all of them.
Oh, man. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube, if you could do us a favor, subscribe to this channel. Also, smash the like button. This is our very first props and picks. We're going to be talking sports betting. Didn't do that last year. We have, like I said, we have Brad here who, like I said, he kills the bookie. Knows what he's doing. John and I, we dabble, but definitely, yeah, exactly. Definitely don't know our stuff like he does. So we're very fortunate to have him. Today's episode, since we're introducing this series, we are going to be talking about a couple. We all have a few season-long bets, and then of course it's week one, so we're going to be talking about our favorite week one bets. And so, Brad, you know what? You're new to the show. Let's hear a couple of your. Go ahead and go through your preseason bets or your season-long bets.
All right, so one of my favorite season-long bets is a bet on defensive rookie of the year. So I absolutely love Micah Parsons at plus 600. See, the thing about Micah Parsons is he's already flying around the field, and that's wonderful that he's playing great, and that's awesome. But what's more important is he plays for a team that's always in the national spotlight. So he's always going to get attention. The other great thing about him is he's playing inside linebacker. What do? They tackle. They get lots of tackles, okay? So it's an easy stat to rack up and to track, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's going to look good at the end of the year. So that's why I love Micah Parsons for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I love that. I've got one on defense. That's Chase Young. I talked about it in the hot takes episode. I think he's going to break the rookie sack record. That's my it's my hot take of the year. But I think he's going to lead the league in sacks in doing that. And that's plus 1,800. So super nice. Obviously, if it hits, it's great. I'm just going to put a unit on it. Not going to, go too far into it because obviously Nick Bosa's back. TJ Watt, has a shot, of course. And, all the other Joey Bosa's out there. So,
well, and you can never discount Aaron Donald as well.
And Aaron Donald too.
Or Myles Garrett too this season.
Myles Garrett. So it is a long shot, but I love Chase Young this year. I think he's going to have a breakout year and potentially a historic one.
Do you guys have any more defensive focused ones? Because I'm all offense.
I'm offense from here.
Rest of the way, I'm MVP and then offense.
Okay. You don't have a defensive MVP, do you?
Nope.
Spoiler alert. All right, good. Let's get into this offensive fun time. Gonna start everyone out with a huge shocker. Jared Goff, over 20 and a half touchdowns. It's actually minus 110 right now. Jared Goff obviously going into a brand new team and a team that's going to be losing a lot of football games. He's been on the Rams that's had an incredible defense his entire career. He's only thrown for under 21 touchdowns once in his career, and that was last year. I do think the fact that he's going to be playing on the Lions, he's going to be in a lot of garbage time that's going to lead to at least 1 to 2 touchdowns a game.
All right. I don't mind.
Definitely like that bet because that line at 20 and a half is just so low. I mean, I know they don't have any receivers there, but man, I feel like he could sneeze into 20 touchdowns in a season or 21 touchdowns in a season.
Yeah.
To piggyback off. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say really quick, and the fact that both of their running backs that they have there are both pass catching backs too, that just leads more reason to believe that they're going to be getting them into the air.
I like that a lot. So to piggyback off of a quarterback and some touchdowns, I am taking Big Ben over 27.5 touchdowns. It's at -115. Now, Big Ben, even last year, with everybody said, okay, Ben can't push the ball down the field. Ben, the Steelers' offensive line is atrocious. They're throwing the ball 5 yards a pop. Ben still, last year, threw for 33 touchdowns. Okay? He's 1 year healthier. The offense is getting a little bit better. They've replaced some pieces on the offensive line. That's still obviously a worry, but you also added pieces like Najee, who's a great pass catching specialist. And then you have players like Chase Claypool, who's got another year under their belt, and Deontay Johnson. Hopefully he's fixed those drops. But either way, I still think that over the last, if you look at it over the last 7 years, he's only thrown for less than 28 touchdowns 2 times. One of those times was the year he was injured 2 years ago. So I think this is one of my favorite bets for a season long, because unless he goes down to injury, I don't see how this one misses.
Yeah, no, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a homer pick here. Jalen Waddle, over 5 touchdowns, +100. I love it. Obviously, syncing back up with his college quarterback. But the thing is, look at the rest of the wide receivers around him. You've got Preston Williams, you've got Will Fuller, and you've got Devontae Parker and Jakeem Grant. And even Matt Collins. Geez, what is something they all have in common? They don't stay on the field. And I think that's just going to give him more time on the field. And, I think 6 touchdowns is pretty easy for him. And you're getting, even odds. So +100.
Like it. I like it.
I'm gonna hate that pick all day long. Oh my God.
Really?
That one, rookie. I mean, think about how many wide receivers. We're all big into the fantasy space. Think how many wide receivers on a year-to-year basis this don't even hit 6 touchdowns. So a rookie coming in on a questionable offense with a questionable offensive line. I think 6 touchdowns is a bit of a stretch there for him.
I think he sees 8.
Oh man. Do you want to book that?
Book it.
All right.
Give those bumped odds. All right. So I'm going to move back over to the team I love so much today, and that's going to be the Lions. They're currently offering Jamal Williams over 525 rushing yards, -115. For me right now, that's telling me Jamal Williams throughout his career has been complementary to Aaron Jones in the backfield, and has still been rushing for about 500 or 450 yards on 16 or 14 game pace. This season, DeAndre Swift, the only other backfield that's relevant in Detroit so far, has been banged up with injuries and almost missed week 1. He's going to be already sharing that backfield with Jamal Williams, and I do think that it's possible that Jamal Williams sees what most of the Lions running back sees, that's just under 1,000 yards a season, never cracking that number, unless you're Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I love that. If there's one thing I have confidence in, it's the Lions running backs will disappoint.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's gonna wow, opposite of disappoint. He's gonna appoint me with some money because he's gonna run for over 525 yards.
There you go. That's a little worry. I worry about that a little bit, but that's just because it's the Lions offense. But
Lions are always scary.
Yeah.
So on the negative side of a running back, it's a running back I absolutely love, and I think is going to be absolutely amazing. I think he could do every bit of going 1,000 and 1,000, and that's CMC. I love him. But what I love even more is this bet on under 1,200.5 rushing yards at -130. So as great as Christian McCaffrey is, he's coming off of a very injury-riddled year. Okay. Even previous to the injuries, in his first 3 years in the league, he only broke the 1,200-yard mark 1 time. Now, even if you account for the additional 17th game, he still would have only broken it 1 time in the other 3 years. So as they've also, they drafted Chuba Hubbard. Now, I don't think they're going to really be taking CMC off the field a ton, but they drafted Chuba Hubbard, and now they just picked up Royce Freeman off of waivers. So I think that says to me that they're going to try and, not run their superstar into the ground who they've invested a ton of money into. So while I think they're going to lean on him heavily, I don't think they're going to use him heavily enough to where he's going to break that 1,200-yard rushing mark.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Actually, that was one I was looking at. And that's what I was looking at before I made this next pick. But I love that. I love that under 1,200.5 yards for CMC rushing yards. I've got CeeDee Lamb over 80.5 receptions, -120. So it is a little bit juiced, but he had 74 last year in a year without Dak. And, I think that he easily eclipses this 80.5 receptions. I mean, he wouldn't be going where he's going, in the third and second round in some drafts. But if he wasn't going to do that, and I really have all the confidence in the world, he's going to easily eclipse 80.5 receptions.
I could see it. For me, it depends on how healthy Dak stays, if he stays healthy throughout the season. But I do think he takes that number one step, so I could see it happening completely.
Yeah, after his first year in the league, and then, I got to say, me personally, he's getting that Hard Knocks boost for me because I have loved watching him on Hard Knocks, and he's looked phenomenal in the preseason, and he looked amazing last year as a rookie. He was my favorite rookie wide receiver coming into last year. So I could definitely see him taking that next step forward and definitely smashing that line of 80.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Let's hear it, John. Let's hear it.
So this is where everyone clicks off me. I'm actually going to say that I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over 8.5 interceptions in 2021 with the additional game. He's not a man that throws a lot of interceptions. Even in 14 games, thrown for 5 back in 2019, only threw for 6 last season. The Dolphins really added to that number, baby. But what you saw was even back in 2019 when Lamar Jackson had his absolutely insane MVP season. He comes back in 2020 and throws for I believe it was 13 interceptions that year. They come in chunks. Interceptions don't just dribble and travel in. They come in chunks. You get a quarterback that has an off game and ends up throwing 2 in a single game. And for plus 100, I take the bet that in a 17-game stretch, Patrick Mahomes just makes enough mistakes in his 5th year to get me some money in my bag.
Don't hate that one at all. I love Mahomes, but I mean that's not a big stretch you're asking for there, John.
No,
and I think he led the league or was top 5 at least in interceptable passes, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
Yeah, I was listening to PFF talking about that before, that he actually had the way they track it, much more turnover worthy plays, as they would phrase it, where he put the ball in harm's way or threw it directly to a defender or something like that, and he just had what they called a lot of turnover luck. Balls dropped by defenders, tipped going to the left instead of barely to the right, things like that, which is a lot of luck. So I mean, it could easily bounce the other way next year.
Yeah.
All right, glad everyone's on my side. I'm doing this right.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys my pick for MVP this year.
Let's go.
Pick for MVP. Who can you pick? Anybody else but the GOAT, Tom Brady, at plus 1,400. He's actually got the 6th longest odds, plus 1,400. I'm sorry, but Tom Brady in the 2nd year in a Bruce Arians-led offense, with what he did the second half of the year and down the stretch, I think that there is every real reason and every real possibility that he could even come close to breaking Peyton Manning's single season touchdown record this year with that 17th game added in this Bruce Arians offense, where you're pushing that ball down the field. And then also, similar to the Defensive Rookie of the Year award, we got to remember, these are media awards.
Yep.
Who gets more exposure than the GOAT? I mean,
Nobody.
The guy is everywhere. The guy's got 7 rings, for God's sakes. So, I mean, that's my pick for MVP. I know it's chalky, but at plus 1,400, I just feel like it's mispriced.
Yeah, why not? Why not take the shot there? I like that.
Yeah, and then if you got Patrick Mahomes throwing for 10-plus touchdowns this season, that's going to take him out of the running, so that should help you out too.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I'm going to stick on the wide receiver train real quick before I get to my non-wide receiver one, and that's Russell Gage, over 700.5 receiving yards at -115. He did it last year in 16 games. He's going to do it again. I know they have Kyle Pitts, but in my opinion, I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get acclimated and in sync with Matt Ryan. I love this for Russell Gage. I mean, I just think he did it last year in 16. There's another game. He's got this. He's got this, barring injury.
That's it right there. That extra game. I'm gonna stick on the receivers really quick. I'm gonna say Brandon Ayuk right now plus -115 for over 67.5 receptions. Last season, this man was missing a solid chunk of time in his rookie season, only playing in 12 games. And guess what? He still was able to get 60 catches in those 12 games. I don't see any reason why an extra 5 games in the season could keep him out of the 7 mark. I do think that he finds a really nice compatibility with Jimmy G and as well as Trey Lance when he gets in there. And I do think that he's going to be getting the ball in a lot of chunks. My man is going to be a money earner.
I love it. I love it. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 1 this year. Book it.
All right, this one is going to take a slight turn into a different direction. So everybody, hold your stomachs because I know this is gonna make some people get a little nauseous at the thought. But
call me fat.
No, buddy, not you. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the division at +650. Now, before everybody vomits, hear me out. Okay, Houston is an absolute dumpster fire of a team. They signed like 50, people off the street this year. I mean, it was an insane offseason. You've got a disgruntled quarterback facing all sorts of allegations. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But I know one thing: he's not going to play for Houston again. So that place is a dumpster fire. They're not even going to come close to contention. They're going to be going for the number 1 pick next year.
Yep.
So that leaves Indy and Tennessee. Indy, while is mostly a great team all around, there's a huge question mark at the number 1 position. That's Carson Wentz at quarterback, who I just have zero confidence in. And then when you take the injury he's already faced this year, the man's brittle and broken every single year, it seems like. And then now all-pro left guard Quentin Nelson getting injured as well, the heart and soul of that offensive line. I mean, the man's a mauler. I think he'll come back fine, but that's just another injury, and sometimes those things nag. So I just have a lot of question marks about the Colts, and I feel like Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, Laviska Shenault taking a step forward, and a lot of these defensive rookies they drafted last year coming into that second year, I think they could challenge Tennessee for the lead in that division if Tennessee makes a couple mistakes. And at +650, with Indy and Houston being out of it for me, I'll take a chance with the Jaguars.
All right. I'm going to have to disagree. And that's because I've got the Colts to win the division at +150. All right. I do trust Carson Wentz. I think he comes back and plays very well enough to rely on that defense and give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and get the ball to Michael Pittman. He's not going to have to win games mostly, but he is going to have to manage him. He's not going to be that guy they asked him or needed him to be in Philadelphia when he was on that MVP tear. I love that defense. I think that is a top 5 defense. And like you said, as long as, he can stay healthy and that offensive line can stay healthy, I trust the Colts. And like you said, if Tennessee slips, I think the Colts are going to be there to take that division at +150.
I like it. Competing bets in the same pod.
Love it.
I mean, hey, I'll jump in right now without even putting my bet out there. I'm giving it to the Titans, but you guys do you. And it's funny. My last one actually is going to be the NFC East division winner. I've actually got them as Washington football team +200 currently at the moment. Last year, balls to the wall, they were amazing. Dallas Cowboys obviously had a lot of struggles with injuries, and just realistically, I don't think that was their only problem with that team. Even going into the first week, we saw them lighting up the field through the air before Dak Prescott got hurt, and it's because that defense isn't very, very good. Now, obviously, your guy Michael Parsons is joining that defense and adds a lot of edge rush as well as being able to coverage out of that backfield, a guy that's all over the field. But I think that Washington football defense is just so scary, and that offense is going to be so sneaky good that I think they win enough games to get them along and end up just winning that division outright.
I could see it. I could totally see that, especially on the back of that defense. And as long as Fitzpatrick doesn't, make his typical game-losing mistakes, then and he actually turns them into those games that he would typically lose into wins. Then I 100% agree.
If we get Miami Fitzmagic, we're good. We're golden.
Go ahead, Brad.
Well, the trick is with Ryan Fitzpatrick, you got to let him have 3 really great games, and then right as he's doing amazing, you bench him for Taylor Heineke, and you say, "All right, Fitz, you were gonna this next game. It was just gonna blow up in your face, anyways. Yep. We all know it. So we're gonna start Heineke for 1 game, see what happens with him. He had a friggin' balls to the wall game against Tampa in the playoffs. Yep. I mean,
I love
see
Taylor
what you
Heineke.
got there, and then throw Fitz back in for 2 games, and you got this, in and out like you had with Jameis and Fitz back in Tampa a few years back.
Yeah, I love Taylor Heineke. What's his odds on MVP? Because maybe we can hit that. I don't know.
I think that's just lighting your hand on fire. That's not even lighting the money on fire.
Oh man,
I don't even know if they'd offer those bets, because if it hit, you'd probably be a billionaire.
potentially. So.
$1 plus 250 million.
Yeah, right. Oh man, so those are our season-long bets, guys. It is time for Week 1. Football is here, baby. It is here, and I am excited. I know these guys are excited. I'm gonna start off with a homer pick, baby. Miami +3, and that's -115. I'm really shocked that they're giving the Patriots or they're favoring the Patriots -3. Mac Jones, first game up against a very stout defense. I'm not saying Tua is going to light it up or anything like that, but I think Mac Jones is going to have a difficult welcome to the NFL game. And at Miami +3, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, I honestly, I love that bet. I don't understand why they've gotten all the way out to the 3. But I think while it's at the 3, you should definitely take it before it moves back to a 2.5, because later on this week, I feel like it's going to head that direction, because I don't see how starting a rookie quarterback is going to be that great against Miami's defense, which has gotten really good in the last few years.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm going to stick there with you. I've got a homer grab as well here, so I'm just going to throw this in really quick. I got Myles Gaskin over 43.5 yards rushing. I do think that he gets enough touches throughout this game and breaks away, even though our offensive line looks god-awful. He's someone that's able to run into the back of the linemen as they're bunching up and falling all over each other. End up on the outside and break it for 20 yards here and there, and those 43 yards can add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I definitely see him getting to that mark. I mean, as many touches as he's likely to get, as he's definitely going to be the leader in that backfield. I think he's definitely got a shot to break that. Since you guys both went with homer picks, I'll do the same, but mine's going to be slightly different. Pittsburgh and Buffalo, I'm going to take under 48.5 for the game. Okay, so one thing we know about Pittsburgh, the offense might have a lot of question marks around it, but they have one stout defense. Okay, they just brought in Ahkello Witherspoon, another cornerback, to shore up that secondary, to kind of add in some help after losing Steven Nelson this offseason. And now Buffalo, while they have a great offense, and Josh Allen has been lighting the world on fire, and he looked phenomenal in the preseason, like he's going to continue it. Stephon Diggs looks amazing, but one thing that Buffalo has always had also is this great secondary. They don't have a great, stop to the rushing attack, but more rushing means more time coming off that clock. Okay, so with a great offense runs into a great defense, I think that'll kind of wash out a little bit. And with Buffalo having such a great passing defense, but not a great rushing defense, I think the Steelers are going to run a lot and in the game quicker and not get up to that 48.5 mark.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to really agree with you. It seems like every time we get sold these high-scoring games, like a Pittsburgh offense versus the Buffalo's offense, you got Josh Allen, all the Steelers receivers, they end up blowing up in our faces and being some of the most boring games on the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And with such a high over and under, I'd slam that.
No. So I've got an under as well of a pretty hyped game also, and that is the Browns Chiefs under 54.5 points, -110. They just played in the playoffs last year. I believe the score was 17-23, if I'm not mistaken. I talked about it when I was talking about the Baker Mayfield as my sit of the week. I think that what they're going to have to do is keep Patrick Mahomes off of the field. Even though they have a stout defense, they have that, plus they're going to rely on the run game. I really don't think it's going to be as high scoring as people, are making this out to be. I don't see a ton of passing coming from the Browns offense, more rushing. And the Chiefs defense could struggle to get going, especially in the first half, with maybe some beginning of the season rust. So under 54.5, I think that's a pretty high line for that game.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying the Mahomes tax if you want to bet the over on that game. And while I think the Browns are going to be a pretty good team this year, and the Chiefs are always going to be great, you're right. I think that line is pretty high, especially the Browns having a pretty solid defense, adding Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney together on the outsides there. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure, and we'll see if the Chiefs, have done enough work to that offensive line to fix that showing that they had like in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to stick on that same game with you really fast. I actually, for the same reasons, and I kind of thought about this while you were talking your Baker Mayfield in the start sits. I'm actually grabbing the over on Nick Chubb's rushing yards this week. It's 71.5. It's -115. But if you look back in 2020, there was only 2 games in the latter half of the season where Nick Chubb didn't run for over 80 yards in that game. And those were against the New York Giants and the New York Jets. Those were 2 teams that they let Baker Mayfield open up the ball, throw it a little bit. They had no one to stop their passing game, so they weren't rushing Nick Chubb up the middle every play. Wow, I am tongue twisting today. They weren't running Nick Chubb up the middle every play and forcing the ball to him. He was still able to go for 50 yards against the Giants on only 15 carries. I do think that he's someone that's almost a lock, especially if they do go for that run-heavy approach to run down the clock. Nick Chubb has the opportunity to break it for a 40-yard play.
Definitely love that. Nick Chubb, one of the best pure running backs in the NFL, behind arguably the best offensive line in the NFL. Makes for a potent combination.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so sticking on my love for the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, I'm going to go with Jacksonville -2.5. Yes, the Jaguars are a favorite, but who are they playing? They're playing the dumpster fire that is the Houston Texans. Okay, I'm sorry, but Tyrod Taylor just doesn't scare me.
No.
None of their geriatric running backs scare me. And I'm really excited to see Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick, come out and actually play in his first NFL game. And I just think that there is no way on God's green earth that Houston wins this game. And if Jacksonville wins, they're winning it by at least 3. So give me the Jaguars.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I do. I think that I agree. I think, Trevor Lawrence comes out, beats the Texans and beats them pretty handily. And they beat them to the point where they're going to have to just continue to run down the clock and hand James Robinson the ball. So I'm going to go over for James Robinson of 65.5 rushing yards at -120. I love that rushing line for him. Like you said, dumpster fire of a team. I think that the Jags, they might sputter in the first quarter, but I think eventually they get it going and get out to a pretty nice lead and kind of just get out of there with a win. Give the ball to James Robinson, run 66 yards plus, and get Trevor Lawrence's first dub.
Okay. I think there's a realm of possibility that the Jaguars lose week 1.
Oh, wow.
I think it's possible.
Are you betting on it?
No.
I mean,
absolutely,
I will lay that
not.
action for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
What do we got for odds?
He just
Minus
said
2.5.
Yeah.
You get Houston plus 2.5.
No. If I want to lay that, I'll play it in the books and let them get my money. It's a lot different than the ego when I have to pay out to you. And I just wanted to point out something. I find it really funny because I like that comment about the geriatric running backs. So I felt the need to go back and look at how old these guys are. I'd just like to point out we're probably either the same age or younger than all of them, and yet they are still, in everyone's mind, very old running backs in the league. Philip Lindsay is the youngest, is 27. So,
wow.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I'm actually older than all of those running backs, and yet I feel pretty young, and I still think in my mind that they're so freaking old. But yeah I mean, and they're in better shape than I've ever even thought of being in my life.
Yeah, no, but I love the comment though. I just want to point that out. So my next line is actually going to be an under, and that's going to be Mark Andrews under 56.5 yards. I'm not a big Mark Andrews guy this year. I think the Ravens have invested so much money and draft capital into receivers. Even though Rashad Bateman's not going to be starting in week 1, they still added Sammy Watkins. Marquise Brown has been doing nothing since getting on the team except complain about the amount of targets he's getting and the amount of work that he's been getting. He's still there in this offseason, and they're going to be getting him the ball. Sammy Watkins is going to be involved. And I just don't think Mark Andrews sees enough light of day to hit that 56-yard mark. And I'm willing to bet against it.
All right.
I like that, and especially with he could have under 56, yards and still have like 3 touchdowns because
exactly
he's one of those kind of tight ends for that such a small passing attack. So little volume there.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna go with another under as well. This one not as sexy as a game as Kansas City and Cleveland, but Minnesota and Cincinnati. Hear me out. Under 47. It's not a ton of points. However, look at who we're playing with. Okay, Minnesota, while their offense looks potent and has some great receivers and a phenomenal running back, you're dealing with Kirk Cousins, who, he's inconsistent if ever. But also, what does their coach love to do? What does he want to do? He wants to run the ball and win with defense. And Mike Zimmer's defense has never been as bad as it was last year, and I have every faith in believing that he's going to bring that back and have a much better defense this year. And with Cincinnati being offense looking shaky at best, with their first round pick Jamar Chase looking a little rough in the preseason, not impressing in camp with his separation or the problem with the drops, Joe Burrow coming back off the injury, I don't see that off, and that offensive line is still atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that they're going to combine for enough points to put this over 47. So give me that under 47 all day.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think in general, I feel like we're hitting a lot of unders, and maybe it's because it's week 1. But especially with
I'm all over the overs.
Oh God. Oh no, John. And this is why we say you keep the bookies alive, baby.
Hey.
But yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Cincinnati and Minnesota both, shaky start and preseason a little bit, and offenses. So under 47, nice. I'm gonna do my last prop, and that's Ryan Tannehill over 1.5 passing touchdowns. With the addition of Julio Jones, they already have AJ Brown there in that offense, and even Anthony Ferksker. Okay, don't hate on him. I don't think he's going to be catching one this week, but Tannehill did throw over two or more passing touchdowns in all but 5 games last year. So against this defense, this Arizona defense, I think he's got 2 in the bag pretty easily.
Yeah, I like that. The only thing that worries me sometimes is it with how shaky Arizona's defense is if they just let Derrick Henry just run all over them. That's the only thing that concerns me about that bet. But I think that Tannehill is definitely more than capable of throwing for 2 on that putrid defense.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I'm worried about Tannehill a little bit, but I actually think he's going to be amazing. I don't know what I'm talking about. I love Tannehill so much. I think he's in for one of his best seasons of his career, and that's coming off of one of his best fantasy seasons of his career. So someone else I really like, and Mike, I talked about him earlier. I got an over for yards on Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, let's hear it. How many? What is it?
37.5. Absolutely obtainable. Realistically, like this a lot better.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
37 and a half yards in a rookie's first game. It's not unheard of, especially when he's lining up as the number 2 receiver on a team that's going to be playing from behind. I already told you earlier, Jared Goff's going to be throwing for over 20 touchdowns this season. Amon-Ra might get every single one of them.
Just call him Calvin, baby, at this point,
Yeah,
the way John's talking about it.
You should see every one of my dynasty teams. No, but realistically, I think 37 and a half yards for a receiver playing under Jared Goff. Even though it's not going to be the Rams offense, I do think that he puts up enough volume to very, very easily support both Tyrell Williams, TJ Hawkinson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown for over 40 yards this game. It won't be too much. He's already gotten, in his first preseason game and the 3 passes he's got, he was already going for 42 yards.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I just, anytime I have to put my faith in Dan Campbell's biting kneecaps of an offense, and a rookie all in one,
it's great
makes
for
me
us.
A little sketchy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Dan the man did it for us, so he's got my faith.
It's true.
All right, so I've got my my last bet for you guys tonight. I wanted to throw in there a teaser. Okay, so the 2 legs to this teaser. The first leg is I like the Los Angeles Rams -1.5. Okay, so big fan of teasing the Rams down from 7.5 down to -1.5. I don't think that that's difficult for them to attain by any stretch of the imagination. I think Jimmy G is going to have a fine game, but they're just going to run the ball and run the ball well. So do I want to lay 7.5 over a touchdown with them? No, not at all. But do I think 1.5 is easily attainable? For sure. Now going to the second half of that leg, okay, I took one favorite, teased them down. Well, now I'm going to take an underdog and tease them up. Give me the Colts from +2.5 all the way up to +8.5. They are at home. And while I have a lot of question marks over the full term of the season, I think that is just being outright disrespected at home. Yes, the Seahawks are a great team, but to be traveling for week 1 from West Coast to East Coast to play in Indy, and on week 1 to shake off all that rust and everything else, no, give me the Colts +8.5 over a touchdown. That's gonna be my teaser.
I love it. That Rusty Russell's gonna be a pain in everyone's tuchus this week. I'm telling you.
That was some alliteration right there.
Rusty Russell sounds like something you find on Urban Dictionary.
I think that was John's search last night on Pornhub.
Yeah, right. John's Rusty Russell tuchus. That's his Pornhub tab. His sister. Oh man.
Name of your sex tape, Rusty Russell.
Yeah, there we go.
Some guy wearing Tyler Lockett's mask too.
Yeah, right. Oh man. Well, man. I've got a teaser to end mine off, and I am similar with Brad in the fact I'm taking San Fran -1.5. The first leg, and then my second leg is Arizona. They're an underdog this week. And we talked about that a little earlier. They're +3, boosting them to +9. I love it. And that's -120 overall. So Arizona +9, San Fran -1.5 for a total of -120. I actually talked to Brad and John earlier in our group chat and said I was tempted to take the Arizona money line. When we were looking at it originally today, they were +240. They have been bought all the way down to +140. So people were on that train. Yeah. So people were on that train with, or train of thought at least, with us. So I love that. I like that pick right there. So John, you got your last one?
I don't have a teaser for you guys. I apologize.
That's fine.
He's such a tease.
What a tease.
My existence is just a tease in this whole show.
Oh my goodness.
Just remember, guys, you know what? I'll give you a teaser. Amon-Ra, four receptions plus. I'm just kidding, guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyways, guys, that is it. That is our props and picks show. They will typically be coming out on Tuesday. That way we can get the best odds for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. We wanted to get our season-long bets. We wanted to get our week 1 bets out to you guys this week. I can't believe it's week 1. Also, just a little asterisk here. All our bets are 1 unit, okay? Unless otherwise stated. We will be keeping track of these. And at the end of the year, there'll be a punishment for the guy who has lost or won the least or lost the most amount of money.
So John's going to have a punishment at the end of the year.
You know what? You know, the best part about this whole thing is I guarantee everything I just picked hit.
Oh God.
I'm gonna throw this out to everyone listening. If you guys are following my picks, put it all on a parlay. We're gonna do everything as one parlay. Put your whole bankroll in. We're going in.
All right. If you have any
don't listen to any
smarts,
of that.
Don't listen to him.
Don't listen to a word he just said.
Everything else is fine. If they agreed with what I said, that means it was at least halfway rational up until that.
Yes, and I think we should say something. If you have a gambling problem, there's help for that.
There is help for that. In Florida, it's 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Yes, there you go. Brad, you used to be a poker dealer, right?
Yeah, for the last 10 years, I worked in casinos here in Florida.
Boom. Told you guys, he is the real freaking deal. October 15th can't come soon enough for us in Florida because we can legally gamble, baby. Sports bet.
Can't wait.
So anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Brad, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Guys, we will see you next time. I think our next episode is our weekly breakdown. So we will see you then, guys. We love you.
Bye guys.